Good morning, I'm Rob King and welcome to Homebrew number 28, a pale ale. Now this isn't going to be just any pale ale, in fact it's going to be one of my favourites. It's a neck oil clone from Beavertown, certainly one of my go-to drinks and lovely and smooth. Secondly, as you can see, we're outdoors. This is the very first time I've done an outdoor brew. We have very rarely have such good weather and I'm really taking advantage of it today. Thirdly, you may notice I've done some surgery on the Aldi mulled wine warmer. So I've changed the ball valve here. Hopefully this will improve the flow and actually make things a bit easier. If you want to sort of see more about that sort of daring attempt, there's a link somewhere to show you. Right, we're off to the races. As you can see, all the minerals are listed on the side of the bottle. This is an advantage. It lets us put these numbers into Brewfather and lets us be able to calculate the required chemicals we need for the hoppy brew that we are brewing. And talking about hops, here are all of our ingredients. And as you can see, there are 7 different types of hops that we are going to use as part of this brew. Yeast is the Safe Ale US-05, and the grains that have been milled for us are 1.7 kilograms of Euro Pils malt and 185 grams of dextrin malt. Turn this on. Our strike temperature is 70 degrees. Mixing in the water chemicals. Now, the chemical composition is a session IPA recipe. I'll put the details along the side. This is going to be a brew in the bag. Right, we've hit 70 degrees and we'll just turn that down. We can mash in. We'll leave it for 15 minutes and then we'll check the pH. Okay, we've brought the temperature of the wort down. pH has come out just a little high, 5.70. So 1 milliliter of lactic acid would bring it down by 0.1. So to bring it down to 5.4, we're going to add 3 milliliters of lactic acid. Just drop that down to 3. The heater's just kicked in automatically, just maintaining that temperature. This is our first recipe to contain first wort hops. This is 2.8 grams of Centennial, which is going to go in the second we take the grains out. These hops are very fresh. It's definitely got a nice piney, earthy sort of aroma to them, but just 2.8 grams at this stage. Okay, our hour is up. 2 steps then. One is to bring out the bag. Second is to add our first wort hops. I could also start heating it up for the boil. Here, 2.8 grams of Challenger hops. They can go straight in. And of course, our pre-boil gravity reading. Temperature's just coming up to 76 degrees, so we're going to do a mash out, and we have the option to cycle some wort through the grains. So this is a new toy, so just need to set it all up. So this is out. This, of course, now connects here.
So if we're going to cycle the wort through the grains, the way that we're going to just do that, like this. We've reached the boil, nothing more to do for 30 minutes for our next hop addition. We're 30 minutes into the boil, that means 2.9 grams of Centennial. The aroma is wonderful, very malty. Right, we're finally getting there. This is our 10-minute additions. First of all, 10 grams of Fermaid-O. This is a yeast nutrient. And then we've got 10 grams of Irish moss. This will help aid clarity in the final batch. With 10 minutes to go too, we're going to start to sanitize the chiller. Ready for that stage when we get there. Won't be long now. We're now ready for the 30-minute hop stand at 80 degrees centigrade. That's a lot of hops going to go in. That's the boil. We're at the end and we're moving to hop stand. That can come down. And we now need to cool down to 80 degrees. Cooler's going. Temperature is down to 80 degrees, so it's time for a shed load of hops to go in, and we'll just leave it there for 30 minutes in the hop stand. This is our pre-boil gravity and pH. Temperature has come down. 20.8, that's good enough. 1022. Now this is very low for the pre-boil gravity. We were looking for 1035. Two things though. One is I did the sauce sparge with Wort after I took this reading, so I should have done it the other way around, I think. The other thing is I do tend to find the boil pretty vigorous on that device, so I think I may gain a little bit of that end of the spectrum. So we'll see how it goes, but actually pretty low for what we were looking for. This is our pre-boil pH reading, 5.15. That's good. I think we hit that on the nose. While I'm here, one other thing I can mention is, of course, our food grade grease. What I'm going to do is put that around the edge of the bucket and around where the airlock's going to go. Make sure we've got a good seal. It also helps to keep the rubber or silicone flexible. The hop stand is done, it's time for cooling. And after 30 minutes baking in the sun, that applies to me too. Right, cooling is going. Temperature's down to 64, 65. I'm going to turn the pump on as well so it starts circulating around. That circulation will first help with the cooling. Second, we're going to add a second bag to start capturing any of the debris, salt sediment that's sort of caught in the water at the moment. I'm just going to try one of the hot bags first, see how that works. Okay, interesting. Maybe the hot bag isn't quite working. Idea's a good one though. Bigger bag, working better, but not perfect. Temperature is coming down quickly though. Temperature's coming down nicely. It's just dropped below 30. We've captured a lot of the sediment in this hot bag. Right, you've just got to get the temperature down a little bit more. I'm going to transfer in a second and I'm going to change that over to the bucket. We've reached 22 degrees. Well, that seems pretty aerated, that's for sure. The yeast is Safe Ale US05, so we can pitch that in. That has rather just rested on the top, so we're going to give it a bit of help. It's time for fermentation. Let's take a look at the original gravity. So this has fallen really short. The gravity is 1.030 versus a target of 1.041. pH though, that stayed pretty constant. 5.12. That's good. To try and correct the gravity problem, I'm going to add 300 grams of sugar. This is half a litre of boiled water. We're just going to slowly dissolve in some of this sugar. This needs to cool down to 20 degrees so we can add it to the fermenter, raise the gravity up a bit. Why didn't I think about using a cool pack earlier? This is the sugar wash we're going to add. So, back to plan A. This has definitely been more challenging than is typical. Wow, that is looking really quite close to what we were looking for. Looks like we're coming in at 138, so I believe at 139. That would be close enough. Phew. I now know what I did wrong though. When I ordered from Get Brewed, I put in the wrong quantity of Euro pills. 24 hours, so just a quick peek. Not much activity. Okay, so we are day 2. Things do seem to be moving along a bit. While not extremely active, it is still sort of going good. This is day 4. It's started to go quiet, so it's time for dry hopping. It's another whopping load of hops, this time for dry hopping. We have 9.5 grams each of Amarillo, Galaxy, Mosaic and Simcoe. The good old hop bag. Time to remove the dry hops. The hop aroma is fab. Next step is to just pop it in the fridge for a little while, let it cold crash, and then we will bottle. My pale imitation of a neck oil clone is still smelling wonderful, so I still think we're okay, even if it's not quite what we were expecting. Hence, I'm still quite excited about the result. So for bottling, I'm going to go 2 ways. I'm going to put 5 litres into a maturing barrel and the remainder into bottles. Wow, it definitely still has that lovely aroma. This is 15 grams of sugar for the maturing barrel, dissolved with a sanitised spoon and a bit of pre-boiled water. Maturing barrel 5 litres, remainder for bottling, which we'll need to add some more sugar to. A healthy amount of sediment there at the bottom. Well, let's see how much we've got. This is good to go. I just need to put the bung in. Oh, that's very nice. This we can put away until after my holidays. Here we've got 3.5 litres. For bottling, we're going to go with 4 grams of sugar per litre, so that is 14 grams. This is our 14 grams of sugar wash. I'm only going to need 7 of these. It has brought a bit of sediment through. I hope that clears while it's carbonating. My old friend, the bottling wand, I've already had my battle with that. This is going well. Clarity is showing lots of promise. Let's see how we do with gravity though. Well, that's also showing good promise. That has dried out lots. This is 1.008 against a target of 1.009. That's pretty good. It puts us at 4% ABV, again against a target of 4.2% ABV. So it may not quite have the depth of flavours that we were looking for from the grains, but it's certainly got that lovely hop aroma so far. I am now actually looking forward to this pale ale that isn't a neck oil clone, but just a pale imitation. This is the shootout. Honestly, I don't think there's much competition. Not a great deal of fizz. We did get the head, we did get the carbonation, and I know we definitely got the aroma. Lots of hoppy aroma in there. This is the real thing. Far more carbonation for a start, far clearer for number 2, and lots of hoppy aroma. Tropical aroma is definitely coming through strong. As by comparison, this doesn't do too badly. It's not quite as strong, but it's very close. Head retention, much better. Taste, of course, is where it really matters. And this is where I think we're going to fall down here. It is a light, refreshing drink. Not too strong bitterness in the aftertaste. Funny enough, I think because it's been a few weeks it's in the bottle, those hop flavours have really smoothed out and really nice. It's just not got a lot on the mouthfeel. However, remarkably drinkable. This is of course the real thing. Straight on the tongue, lots of flavour, hits you straight away. You just don't get that with my Pale Imitation. Fair enough, you don't get that bitterness on the aftertaste either. It is just much smoother all around. It does generally have quite a light mouthfeel to it. The difference isn't quite as much as I imagined it was going to be. It is in that flavour that it really failed. As a Pale Imitation, it's still a very hoppy, light IPA. Cheers everyone. Definitely prefer this one though. Like and subscribe. Cheers.
Welcome then to the lessons learned. And here we are today actually brewing Neck Oil Clone V2. And this brings us back to lesson number 1. Use the right quantity of ingredients. Schoolboy error. I do realise now the Get a Brewed website separates the kilograms and the grams, and instead of putting 1.7 kilograms, I should have put 1 kilogram in the kilograms field, 700 grams in the grams field. Damn. Funnily enough though, it still worked out quite nice as a session ale, something that's a bit light. It was a little bitter on the aftertaste, but actually with all those hops, it still turned out pretty drinkable. Lesson number 2 then is filming outdoors. It was a lovely summer day and it was a little too hot for me. I was baking in the sun, but the bigger challenge for filming was all the planes and cars that went by every time I went to record audio. So filming outdoors definitely introduces some interesting challenges. Cooling being the main one. Lesson number 3 then is first wort hops. And I realise now that I filtered out the first wort hops pretty quickly because I cycled the wort back through the grains, hence filtering the hops at the same time. I've now added that step later in the recipe order, so I cycle the wort first and then add the first wort hops. Lesson number 4 then was the sheer quantity of hops in this recipe and the challenges of filtering. I had a real nightmare in this stage and it really did not work out very well. However, I now have a new solution to that problem. In the intervening time, yesterday to be precise, I added a whirlpool to the Aldi mulled wine warmer. Now, I haven't actually tried it out and today will be my first test of that new feature. But by whirlpooling, I'll be able to bring all that residue to the center and hopefully then as I transfer, that stays behind. That's the plan, we'll see how it goes. Additionally, I'm making one other change to this recipe in the use of hop bags. Hop bags don't remove all of the residue, some of those hops get through. There's also ingredients like the Irish moss, which is just added directly. All of these things create some of that residue. There is also the hop rake, which is proteins, and they can clump up. And I've had problems with that previously, so I'm hoping the whirlpool option will help. Lesson number 5 is a thumbs up. This one I've struggled with over time, which is water chemistry, but Brewfather really gives you a lot of information about the target water profile that you're looking for. I've added in the source minerals for bottled water. That allows Brewfather to calculate the differences that we need, and I just add those chemicals. It means that I don't have to go back to distilled water for my source water for every brew, and it simply calculates all the differences. So far so good. I did that last time, I've done that this time. Lesson number 6 is alpha acids. I used the default alpha acids in Brewfather last time and just added that into the recipe. Now, actually, the difference isn't that great, but this time I've actually changed the alpha acids to those of the hops that I received. On the whole, most of them changed only a small amount, or actually didn't change at all, but one did change quite significantly, and this can make all the difference. So Brewfather is definitely your friend to recalculate your alpha acids when you actually receive the hops. Lesson number 7 is dry hopping. The dry hops didn't really seem to submerge in the bucket, so I'm going to add a few of the glass weighted marbles that I've used for removing headspace in the past and try to see if that helps submerge the hops. Well, that's it for this recipe. Thank you very much for watching, even despite all of the problems along the way. Do like and subscribe, and please hang around for a few pictures and outtakes at the end. And look out for a very rapid homebrew number 31, the Neck Oil Clone V2. Cheers. Thirdly, you may notice I've done some surgery on the mold. Maybe between cars and aeroplanes this wasn't such a good idea. That's unbelievable. As you can see, these are all of the hops we're going to use. In fact, there are 8 of them. Oh, wow. Lots of hops from aroma now. I guess some's coming from here. Ooh. Extra hands to hold that in place. I'm going to knock the bottles over. It does mean I don't have to go back to distill. It also means that I don't have to go to